What up, everybody? Today I'm going to be talking about the 5 most hated characters in the Power universe. Of course, anytime I do something like this, it's my own personal opinion and how I see things from my perspective. So with that said, I would love to hear who your most hated Power character is. So make sure to drop your most hated Power character or even your top 5 list in the comments. When I say Power, that means all the shows that are in the Power universe, including the spin-offs. I have 2 lists. My real list and the list I'm actually going to be talking about. Being a 5-time felon and someone who's been beat down at the hands of the cops a couple times, I have a Kanan-like attitude when it comes to 5-0. So organically, my hate is going to be directed to the pigs on a show. So because of that, my top 5 list of most hated characters excludes any feds, cops, prosecutors, or anything like that. But before I get started, let me tell you who would be on my actual list, which is the top 5 most hated cops in the Power universe. Number 1 is definitely Greg Knox. He is second to none on the whole series, followed by Mike Sandoval, then Cooper Saxe. At number 4 would be Blanca Rodriguez. And concluding my list at number 5 is Detective Shannon Burke from Raising Kanan. Getting me to my 5th most hated character that I'm going to be talking about today, and that is Simon Stern. Even though my hate for Simon Stern has diminished over time, around season 5, they started to make his character a little more likable. But I gotta go back to how much I hated Simon Stern before that. From the time he showed up on the scene, I never cared for him. Then he was able to steal truth from under Ghost, all while doing some underhanded things to keep Ghost from reclaiming ownership. I felt so justified when Ghost ended up getting the last laugh with Stern and made a side deal with Stern's ex-wife to get back truth, as well as receiving 2 additional clubs in the deal. Then Ghost was in prison and Stern came to visit him. And this is what made me edge Stern onto my top 5 list over a couple other characters. Just going back to how I felt at that time, I couldn't stand his character. We will see if Simon Stern will make his return on Ghost Season 4. Getting me to my next most hated character, number 4 on my list, and that is Saleem Freeman, or whatever his real name is. I wouldn't say I hated his character like that because he wasn't really getting that much screen time, but this character was just flat out weak and irritating. I made a couple videos last week talking about Law 25 of the 48 Laws of Power, Recreate Yourself, and this is also something that Saleem did as well. Saleem grew up privileged, attending private school, and was even raised by a white family. But Saleem, or whatever his real name was, recreated himself to become a black activist and a poet. Saleem even went as far at one point to straight up tell the class that he grew up on government assistance. But this isn't even why he made the list. It was all that stuff he kept saying to Diana about her family, looking up what her father went to prison for. Then even at Lorenzo's funeral, he was still going on and on to the point she finally had to kick him out. I personally thought that Saleem was an undercover cop planted at the school. I'm guessing that theory was wrong, but have we seen the last of Saleem on Power? A lot of people think that the show will be moving on from Stansfield in Season 4. Getting me to number 3 on my list, and that is your boy Jabari Reynolds. Jabari is the definition of doing too much. He wrote a whole book based on Carrie Milgram while they were together in a relationship without her permission, and he was trying to do something similar with Tariq. Jabari was convinced that Tariq was sleeping with Carrie, when in fact it was Zeke sleeping with her. As if Tariq wasn't going through enough at the time with his mother's child and doing Zeke's schoolwork, Jabari kept making him do extra work. At one point, Tariq had to straight up tell Jabari, "Look, man, I had a father. I don't need all this." Jabari was just doing too much. He followed Tariq to see him meet up with Drew. then was trying to find out who killed Bars when Kane shot him. Getting me to my two most hated characters in the Power universe. At number 2, I have Holly Weaver. I don't really even know why I hated this character so much. I just did. When Ghost sent her away the first time, I was really hoping she was gone for good. But when she returned, she only got more annoying. Holly stayed in Tommy's ear about killing Ghost until she finally tried to take matters into her own hands by hiring the Jamaican hitters to do the job. Either though I can't stand her, I do understand why she did what she did. I mean, her life was at risk and she was pregnant. Well, one thing about it is she was pregnant and never even told Tommy about it. I know she let Julio up for a drink one time. Maybe that was his baby and that's why she didn't tell Tommy. I just flat out didn't trust that girl. At one point, Tommy had a fat check that Ghost gave him, and Holly actually tried to take the check to the bank and cash it herself. I was wondering if she's going to try to run off with the money or what her angle was in doing that. Maybe she was just doing too much like Jabari. Getting me to number 1 on the list, the most hated character in the Power universe in my personal opinion, and that is Tommy's dad, Tony Teresi. We met Teresi in season 4 and I could tell he was a snake from day one. He found out Ghost's identity and blackmailed him, forcing Tommy to deliver money to his house. When Ghost got dirt on Teresi, Teresi tried getting Ghost killed, but since Ghost killed the marshal, Teresi used it as another way to blackmail Ghost as a way to connect with Tommy. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't understand what Teresi was doing. He was trying to save his sick wife while meeting his long-lost son at the same time. But then Teresi got released to become a CI, willing to give up information on his own son. But he never did. Instead, he gave Sax and John Mock the real identity of Ghost. Before this point, they were still convinced that Tommy Egan was Ghost, or at best, they didn't know for sure if Ghost was Tommy or James. From the time Teresi got out of jail, Kanan was ready to clip him, but Ghost didn't want the fallback from Tommy. That's why he had Vincent tell Tommy he had to kill Teresi. But we know that Sax told Tommy anyway, and Tommy killed Angela gunning for Ghost. Honestly, Tommy Egan could have easily made my list because I do have a love-hate relationship with Tommy Egan. I love Tommy on Force, but in Power, I really couldn't stand Tommy most of the time. If you watch my channel on a regular, you know I've said a few times that Ghost should have killed Tommy if he really wanted to get out the life. Before I go, honorable mention who almost made my list includes Carrie Milgram, Walter Flynn, Rashad Tate, and Nomar from Power Season 1. And there you have it, my top 5 most hated Power characters. Make sure to drop your list in the comments.